I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. What's happening?
And I am Liz Davidson.
Today we're doing a top 10 solo games.
We are.
I hate to tell you this. Plus, it did say in the thumbnail, but I don't know why you're here for this.
I feel like I've grown as a gamer.
You've grown.
Shut up.
But we're just
I knew that was a softball as soon as I said it.
I don't know if I was a gamer, but you're certainly not. By your own, admission, you're not really much of a solo gamer.
We're just trying to tell you there might be a more qualified candidate for this.
This really would have worked a lot better if the thumbnail didn't say Mike on it. You know what I mean? Get out.
All right, fine.
Let's get Mr. Mike DeLisio in here, please.
Woo!
Give it up
Hello, everybody.
for solo mode.
Thanks for keeping my seat warm, Tom.
He has grown.
This was better.
He's grown. All right, everybody. So as Tom said, we're going to be doing a solo list. We have Liz, of course, joining us for that. This was your choice, wasn't it? You wanted to do a solo list?
Yeah.
Of sort of the bank of ideas we gave you, right?
I just felt like the natural thing to do,
I
given
agree.
that I review solo games. Also, I have stubbornly
This guy.
refused to make a top 10 solo list. So this is probably the first one I've ever actually bothered to make.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've dabbled. I've toyed with the idea, but I'm gonna say this is my definitive list. And I'm feeling good about it because I cheated all over this list. I just went full rogue on this one.
I'm interested. So you've never done this,
No.
even though it's your bread and butter, basically.
It'll change next time I sneeze, probably.
Right.
That's okay, but don't say that because we want it to sound like seem like it
definitive.
mattered.
Right
And
in stone.
yours is
I've got some
never going to change.
never
This is definitive.
No. This will never ever change.
And mine is here too. So that's good. All right, guys. Well, what do you say we kick it off?
Let's make it happen.
You ready?
Let's do it. I guess I'm ready.
Okay.
Number 10.
So, my number 10 is a Roll Ranked. It's the lightest game on my list, and it is Welcome to. So the reason I want Welcome to is that it not only has a solo mode in the Alexis solo deck, but that solo mode pushes you that extra step. So in Welcome to, you're building the best neighborhood. You pick 2 out of 3 cards, one for its number, one for its power, and then the third goes into discard. But the solo mode, the Alexis solo mode, makes you actually think about what goes in that discard because the AI scores off of it. So it actually takes a good game and makes it even trickier and thinkier than it was before. So that's
Isn't
why I
the
picked it.
Alexa solo mode?
I think it's Alexis. Alexa is Amazon.
The Amazon thing. I think it's Alexa, but
Yeah.
so the mode is called Alexis?
Yeah, I think that's the designer.
Yeah, they like
Oh,
to do
I
that.
see.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, you said the Alexa mode, and I'm like, does it use the app or something?
Hey
like,
Alexa, win this game for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was real confused what you meant. Okay, the Alexis.
Alexis, yeah.
A lot of
Got it.
times these solo variants will be kind of named. They'll have little names that they'll give them to give it a little flavor. You know,
Right,
so you're
right.
playing against an opponent. You're not. Is Alexis an opponent in this one? Because I haven't played. The only way I've played Welcome to solo is just the standard way it came out of the box.
So I actually think it's still good standard, but the Alexis mode makes it special because every card that you discard, you actually have to keep your discard pile in order because you spread it out at the end and
okay.
score based on what you dumped.
Got it.
So there are estate sizes that you have to be watching out for. You can't just not give Alexis any fences or else they're going to end up with like a huge estate that just destroys you. And depending on which of the architect opponents you play with, because there's more than one, maybe a pool is worth more, maybe a park is worth more. So you have to be really careful
Okay.
about what you toss as well as what you keep.
That's cool.
Yeah, clever.
Yeah, I never heard of that one. I mean, I know the game, but I haven't heard of that. There was a mode that did that. Alrighty, well, my number 10 is the first, will not be the last, of the Omniverse games on my list. And this one is called Arion. Arion is the newest as well. This one is about building airships. And it's a dice rolling game. You're going to be rolling dice into a pool. You're trying to make, pairs and runs and things like that. And there are like 5 or 6 decks.
Something like that. 5.
Yeah,
maybe.
like 5 decks, I think.
Yeah.
And you're trying to just complete with your roll the top card on any one of them is the idea. However, if you don't like your roll, you can re-roll, but you need to discard one of those cards to re-roll. So not only are you burning through the decks, but you are also limiting your choices that you can possibly shoot for in this very round. It's a really cool kind of push and pull mechanism. I thought it was really neat. Like the one reroll token is the thing you're trying to finish.
Right.
You know, this designer is really good at doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where like a single pivot point is both what you're trying to get and what you're giving away and all of that stuff. So I like this one a lot. It's short, simple. It's got that weird artwork, which is, you know, kind of take it or leave it. But I like it.
Yeah.
You like
I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig
I think
it.
it's all right. The artwork I think is okay. The game I like a lot. Have you played this one?
I have, actually. I think I aired a review of it within the last week, 2 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah, I really like it too. It's a good choice.
Yeah,
It
nice.
is, it is good. I'm going to make a bold statement about the Oniverse game, Z.
Go
Liz,
ahead.
you ready for this bold
I'm ready.
statement?
Let's do it.
I prefer the two that have the dice. I like this dice direction that the designer is going.
The latest two also.
Yeah. What did I say? Last two?
No, I'm saying you said I prefer the two that have the
they're
dice.
the
Yeah,
last two.
latest
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
Yeah.
They are the last
Noctillion
two,
and,
yeah.
and then this one.
Yeah.
I like these even better, the ones that are card focused. Really quick, if I might, I'm going to just talk a little bit about why I picked these, because I've had people ask me, oh, you know. So I thought about a couple of things. Number one.
Excuses.
No,
This is like
no.
shoring up.
No. This is an unassailable list. You can't.
You haven't been on the internet, have you? It will be a sale.
It's just being assailed already. All right.
We can't see y'all's
Number
comments
one,
right now.
I tried not to pick 10 co-ops, right? Because that would be a top 10 co-ops list in some ways. You know, there are
guess
some
so,
co-ops,
sure.
but I wanted to not go too crazy there. I kept the beat your high score to a minimum, you know, because I don't tend to like those as much.
I don't either,
All
yeah,
right.
okay.
I personally put a lot of stock into setup and teardown time in a solo game, right? And I also wanted to have a nice mix of larger games and small games. So that's why, before you start pounding on me on this list, all right, my number 10 is a game that will be familiar to people that have seen my top 40 list, because this is my number 1 game of all time. It's my number 10 solo game, and this is Scythe. Scythe is a game that I absolutely adore in general, obviously, or it wouldn't be my number 1 game. But the solo variant is brilliant in that it can make this game work as a solo game, and it really does. This was like, to me, when I really took notice of this Automa, how do you pronounce it? Automa.
I think I looked it up and it said Automa.
Yeah,
but
Automa, Abracadabra.
According to the internet.
It's a fantastic solo system that's been kind of designed. You know, Morten Monrad Peterson is the main guy, and there's a whole team that does these now.
Right.
The fact that they can actually turn this game into a viable solo game is amazing to me, because there's so many moving parts.
Right.
But that's really why it's not higher on my list, is that there is a significant learning curve to picking this up, figuring out how the neighborhoods work. There's a lot of administration involved for you as the player. Now, once that clicks, I think it's worth it. You know, you get such a great experience, but it takes a long time to set up, a long time to tear down, a long time to learn. It can be very intimidating to new people, especially new to solo gaming. I wouldn't recommend this for people that is your first solo game. No. There are other options that are better, but man, I do like it. So that's why Scythe is my number 10.
All right.
I'm curious about what's further up the list now.
Number 9.
Well, I know people are really caring about. So I know that people are really. I know people are really caring about my list. So Gloomhaven would be
Hey,
on
Tom.
it for sure.
Just
Listen, I think some
it's
people
my
want to
turn.
know. I think some people want to know what's on
get
the.
out.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, save that. You're welcome, internet. So now my far more important number 9 on the list
That's right.
is Hostage Negotiator. So Hostage Negotiator is another small box solo game. It's an older one, but I actually tended to pick games that I've had a years-long relationship with, I guess. Like, you know, the games that make my top 10 are games I've really played a lot. I've played a lot of Hostage Negotiator. I'm really excited for Career to come out. So Hostage Negotiator is basically a hand management game where you are trying to talk down an abductor who has captured a lot of people, and you're trying to prevent people from dying, and you're trying to capture the abductor before they can escape. And what's really amazing about the game is that You have to be careful about which cards you're playing because cards you play on a certain turn aren't available the next. There's some dice rolling, which bothers some people, but I don't mind it. I feel like
Sure
it's
does.
mitigable. But what I love the most is how different every abductor is when you play them. They have very different flavor. You know, the mechanisms of the game really change depending on which abductor you're confronting. And to me, that makes the game really exciting, worth revisiting. I have everything for it, and I'm glad I
Wow.
do. Worth all the money.
Can we talk the cover here for a moment?
Yes.
What are our thoughts on the cover? It's going to make people not want to play the game, I'm afraid.
I think
Well, aviator glasses are still cool.
half of them though. Half a pair of aviator glasses, I guess.
Do you like this game?
I like it, but it didn't have staying power for me.
Yeah, I did not like it. I played it a few times, then reviewed it, then was like,
Threw it
I
in the
don't
trash.
need to own this.
What?
Yeah, you
I
burned it?
immediately got rid of it. I mean, no, I didn't, obviously, but it's just not. It's a dice chucking total luck fest. It's
That's because you're just not good enough at it.
Oh!
Oh!
Yeah,
I said
yeah.
it. I went there.
That's okay. It just didn't. I should enjoy games I'm not good at. Also,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right,
And I
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Well, most of the games I enjoy, I'm not necessarily good at.
Well,
This was not. Gosh, it just didn't feel engaging. It was so.
And with a theme like this, you should definitely feel engaged,
And they were
right?
selling you on the story, I think, was part of the issue for me.
see, I find it quite dramatic, but I mean, honestly, my favorite one is still from the first box because it's about the teacher that loses it.
Yeah,
That's right.
that one hit a little too close to
Oh,
home. I don't know
close.
that I want to play that one very often, if I'm honest. I avoided that one.
But you know, I actually think a lot of the mechanisms across abductors, you know, the one where you have two brothers and like depending on what brother you're dealing with, the negotiations are different. Or there's one that's like speed, where the guy's on a bus and like
Oh, yeah.
escaping from you. I mean, to me, that gives a lot of variance. However, if you thought hostage negotiator need a little bit more, I think it might be about to get some because I sampled Final Girl, which uses the hostage negotiator engine, but is about being the final girl in a horror movie, and it was fun. So the future may hold very exciting things for this
Yeah,
particular
but I
system.
can't trust you because you like hostage negotiating. Just saying. Just saying. This
We'll
is
see what you
not
got
not a
next.
great pick, Liz. All right, my number 9, and much better, not just than hostage negotiator, but much better than whatever Tom said, which I forgot about. Is Subterra as a solitaire game. I think is actually very good. My main complaint is still the same complaint I've always had. I thought the production was a little subpar.
Subterra?
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't even do that on purpose.
Yeah.
I do wish there was a deluxe version of this. This
Yeah.
was Kickstarted. It was not, it did its thing.
Yeah.
I would love a really fancy schmancy edition. They're not going to do that probably. They had a second, like a sequel that came out or is coming out. But I love the system. It does everything I like in co-ops, like Pandemic. This idea of characters with powers, short turns, simple to understand mechanisms. A few sort of options, all of them very clearly laid out. Do something good, do something good, do something bad sort of structure. But it's got exploration on top of that. It's kind of like playing, Pandemic in a way where you don't know what your world or that Earth looks like. That's cool.
Yeah.
I find it very fascinating. It's got a great build-up. It's got a lot of cooperation in it, where you are, like you might have somebody who is knocked unconscious by falling rocks or noxious gas or something, and somebody else needs to then double back and go help them up. So you need to be careful about, you got to spread out to explore the cave, but if you get too far away from someone and they need help, you might waste a lot of time getting back over there. And then the end game in it is always really tense. I like that a lot too, because it's this sort of like run for the exit.
Right.
As time is running out, there's a deck of cards that goes, and when it's completely gone, you're in the dark. The deck represents your flashlight battery.
Okay.
When it's fully gone, you're now in the dark in there, and at the end of any turn, a monster could just snatch you up from the darkness. So it's really cool. Subterra is where it's at.
Oof, I need to try this. Have you played it? I haven't played it.
No.
Did you see that?
I don't know if I will. I can't trust it now.
That's fantastic. All right, my number 9 is another game that was actually on, and look, I'm going to have some crossovers with my favorite games lists. It's not
What?
just it's going to happen, people.
This
Sorry.
is definitive. It's okay.
It's definitive, though. That's true. My number 9 is a worker placement game, and actually, I tend to think that worker placement games are fun to play solo because you've got, if it's done well, you've got this tension of where my spots are going to be taken. It's a pretty easy thing to replicate in a solo game. Spots being taken from
guess,
you.
yeah.
And this is Outlive. This is a game that I feel in general is way under the radar.
Sure.
I wish more people would play it because it's really good. What's interesting about it, and what I said in the regular top 40 video, is that it's a very interactive worker placement game. And that's a little harder to pull off in a solo game, but they do a really good job of it here. You're playing against what's called the Horde, and they're going to not only compete for spots with you, but they're also going to be coming with their own. You have strengths of workers, and if you go to a spot and somebody with a higher strength comes, they steal your stuff, basically.
Right.
And they are able to replicate that through this. The AI opponent will compete with you for those events that come out every turn, and it's pretty tense. There's a clear win-loss condition. You basically are trying to have a better fallout shelter, let's be real, that's what this is, than the Horde is. And it's a really clever system. It's card based, like a lot of these are. It's kind of similar to the Automa card flips, see where they go, see what they do type of a thing, which again, I like because I'm not having to spend a whole lot of time figuring out what they're doing. Scythe, I'm really having to figure out, make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. Here, I'm flipping over a card. Okay, they're going here, here, and here. This is how it's going to affect me. So I like it quite a bit. That's Outlive. Check it out.
Sounds good.
Number 8.
All right, ready for number 8?
Let's do 8.
Do it.
All right, so my number 8 is a game that I love very much, but it's kind of slipping on my list a little bit. If I had one, I guess. It's Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Okay.
Which I adore. I know, it's fiddly.
Oh,
It's
you're gonna
fiddly.
hate
It's
on this?
okay. Hate on me all you want. I'm still
Yeah,
right.
I'll leave this
But,
one to you. Great choice, Liz. I commend you.
I love Sentinels of the Multiverse. So I will
right.
be real with you. It's a game where you are playing as superheroes. You're against an enemy deck and environment.
Yeah.
But I like that each deck has a lot of variance. However, you do have to play multiple characters in order to have a successful time at Sentinels of the Multiverse. There are a lot of status effects that really irritate people when they play, but I think that's fun. I don't really mind the bookkeeping. I love that every deck is very different. I love the drama that playing the game creates, and for me, it's really exciting.
How many characters do you run?
3.
You have to do 3?
I think you do. Yeah, I think some people do too, but 3.
Yeah, that would be tough for me.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So one thing that is in the future for me is I'm trying to decide if there are other games with this kind of modular deck system that I'll end up liking better. One possibility for down the line would be Street Masters, which has that similar, you have a deck, you have a boss deck, you have an environment deck, but it's a little bit less bookkeeping with some tactical map stuff.
Right.
And I also have been really liking Marvel Champions, so I'm trying to decide, like, ooh, is this like a superhero game killer for me? But still Sentinels. I have the giant box, play it all the time. Love it.
Well, the living card game, you run a single character, right? So
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, this one's brutal to me. This is quadratic equations of the multiverse. It's just nothing but math and counters and tokens and status effects. And look at this card to trigger that card. And oh, now it's +5. But then you got the square root of this character over here. It's too much.
You're
for me
just
to
bad
account
at it.
I'm bad at math, and therefore I'm bad at this game because to me it's a huge spreadsheet.
See, I really enjoy it. I like seeing the card combos and looking at how characters can help each other out and like seeing those things in the
I
deck.
get that this
Part
might
of
be a
the
me
pleasure of the
problem.
game.
This might be a me problem because I
We
don't.
might be, I'm just going to put this out there, we might be dumber than Liz. You and me.
You think?
I'm fairly certain
Yeah.
there's going to be a few games that are going to come up on this list and we'll be like, ooh.
I could tell you I don't have a
no.
P, an H, or a D after my name, so I'm going to go with that. Yeah. I'm feeling.
And after my name, I have a G, and then an A, R, and a CIA.
In that order?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's my last name.
Ah,
like it.
I like it.
I
Yeah.
like it.
can't spell it.
All right. I'm sure it's a good game. For some people, it's just not for me.
Well, you're crazy. All right, my number 8 is a game that you do need the expansion to play, Solitaire, but I don't care. I love it. I think it's one of the best, not just expansions, but adds a fantastic solo mode to it. This is Paper Tales.
Ah, yeah.
My number 8. And this is the cover of the expansion, by the way, which I believe is called Beyond the Gates.
Correct.
This one, you are going to do a similar thing where you're playing sort of against a like the
Like a
horde.
king
It's
or
not like
something
the
like that.
horde,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like two virtual troops, if you will. And so you're going to be doing largely the same things you do in the game: drafting cards, placing them face down in front of you, or I guess face up here in this case, paying for them, going through all of the normal phases you would in a turn. But then when it comes to the fighting, which you would do normally with your neighbors in the regular game, a la Seven Wonders, in this one you are comparing with one horde or group of baddies and then another one. And one of them sort of progresses at a different rate than the other one. One of them gets really out of hand quickly. So you might be winning, if you're doing all right and worrying about it, you might be winning against one side fairly consistently. If you want to really do well and score against both, you have to go super heavy, militaristic.
Right.
But I like it a lot. I thought it was such a smooth, cool system.
I have a question. How
Yeah.
different does the solo feel from the multiplayer? Because I played the multiplayer and it was fine.
They're not that different, honestly. If you
Yeah.
did not like the game, you won't like the solo mode that much, I think. Yeah, it was, I thought it was a good approximation of what the game felt like.
It just
so.
replicates the person to your left and right, basically.
Kinda, yeah. It does a couple of other things,
Sure,
you
you have
know,
to do the draft
but
different.
yeah, it changes it a little bit. But no, if you don't like the game, I don't think this will be like, oh, it's so different that I can now it's palatable. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the game was inoffensive. That's
Yeah. I like it. I mean, I think I find a lot of the time when folks learn this game, the first play is usually a little underwhelming because the game is deceptively short.
Right.
That's part of the problem, I think. You might not have liked it, and that's okay, but usually folks kind of, they get what's going on, but they sort of put a plan into place that is intended to be supported over 8 rounds, but the game only lasts 4.
Right.
And then when they get to that point, they're like, oh, that's it? I didn't do anything. I feel like I literally did nothing. That's true, but you were on a different timetable. I think that's part of it. That's what I found anyway.
Yeah.
Have you had that issue?
Yeah,
When you
with
teach it?
teaching new people, like, whoa, wait a minute, I didn't even get to do my thing. You know?
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I don't know if maybe they should have added more rounds, but I like it a lot.
I like it as
Yeah.
is. I like it short and snappy like that.
Yeah.
I respect your opinion.
Yeah, you're just making me feel bad for picking on you. Did you design Hostage Negotiator?
No.
And calm down, Liz. I want to hear this.
Are you a hostage negotiator?
This is some good
I'm sure I could have been.
Okay, fair enough.
guilt garbage.
This is an
do you
interesting
got?
thing because my number 8 is similar to yours
Same?
in that it's not the same. It's a small box card game that needs the expansion to be played as
I
a
was like,
solo
that's
game.
cool, and you shouldn't have picked it.
I was all excited about this was going to be the thing that was breaking one of the rules, and Z stole it from me.
Yeah, maybe on the same number, too.
Yeah, not the same game though. Although I would say the Paper Tales is in my upper echelon of solo games. This is Port Royal with I think it's called Just Another Contract or something. The one I had was actually the
big
German
cards,
ones.
and
Yeah,
you've got
with
the
the
big
big
cards,
cards,
yeah.
and they've got kind of like contracts that you're going for.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I love
Just
Port
another
Royal.
day of port, I think is what it's
Just
called.
another day at port
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah, I love Port Royal. I mean, I tend to like the small Alexander Pfister games, the more unassuming ones. I love Push Your Luck, and this is one of my favorite pure Push Your Luck games. And I like how in the solo game, it still keeps that. You still have the Push Your Luck element,
Right.
but now you're trying to fulfill contracts. And I also like how easy it is how variable the difficulty is, because the different contracts have different denotions on them, and if you want to play harder, you put these kind of contracts in, these letter contracts, whatever.
Right.
You still shuffle them, so there's a randomness to it. But I can't tell you how many times I've played this game solo. I mean, probably 30, 40 times, because it's so quick.
Really?
Pull out a deck of cards, boom, pop it down, and you're playing within 2 minutes. You know, it's a really, really good game. I think if you like Push Your Luck, and whether you play it solo or not, you should try Port Royal. It's a really, really fun game.
No, I'll agree with you there. I haven't played the solo mode for this. The game is a push. It's a good push your luck game. I eventually I used to own it. I got rid of it. I think just because there's a small game and there were too many games of that type.
Yeah.
Push your luck sort of, games of it like it. But yeah, I don't know. I do wonder if Solitaire would maybe alleviate those kind of like this experience can be replicated sort of issues I had with it. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll have to try
All
that.
right.
You haven't played it?
No, but I like a good, quick.
It's inoffensive.
It is inoffensive.
Number 7.
All right, I think it's legitimate roll and write games. You can play these by yourself.
What is this?
No, look. Sometimes you got to test a game
All right,
out by
Tom,
yourself.
go play Uno by yourself.
But Uno.
Wow. All right, so let's get to a legitimate game for solo for number 7.
A legitimate game. Ooh.
For solo,
Great.
and that would be Nemos War.
First or second edition?
Second.
First edition came like in a Ziploc bag.
Are you like a hipster?
Yeah, second edition is for would-be solo gamers. If you're a real OG solo gamer, you have the original first
Do you
edition.
also have some of
Ziploc
those
bag.
Viking pieces from Board Game Breakfast
It
this
had
morning?
boulders inside there. It had actual shrimp was in the bag.
That's right. No, Liz,
You
you
actually
know
never
what?
got to quit playing the game because you could never leave the
Right.
Nautilus.
Yeah, right. I'm not going to give you garbage for this because it is on my short list.
Oh.
This would have been my 12th.
This is way on my short list too.
So Nemos War is fabulous. You guys are free to chip in as well. It's a game where you're going for victory points, but your focus in the game can change. So sometimes Nemo is traveling around in pursuit of science. Sometimes he's more war-oriented. But no matter what, there is some dice mitigation. So if you're not into that, be warned. But you are rolling dice. The difference between those dice gives you a certain number of action points, and you are using them to travel, to draw adventure cards, to sink other ships. You have to manage your reputation, because if you sink too many ships, it doesn't go so hot. And what I really love, I think, the most about the game is it's got a really nice emergent story that's a little bit different every time.
Yeah,
And-
you have to kind of dig for it, but it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're a lover of literature. Like the flavor text for Nemo's War is excellent.
Yeah,
If
it
you
is.
like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and you're into that kind of world, I think Nemo's War is a really pleasant game to play.
Yes.
Because you can get so into it, and it's different enough from the source material that it's still interesting to play, but it really has that vibe of like being actually sailing around in a ship. And,
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I think it does a nice bit of world building. The game feels different than a lot of games.
Yeah,
I
it
think
does.
it is sort of
Very
like
unique.
it feels of its own world almost. It kind of it has the ability to transport you to its own place and time, and it's not even. I think mechanically, I don't think it's that amazing. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting enough.
No, but it's so absorbing anyway.
It is. It
And
is.
I think that's what it is.
I like how to mitigate against those many dice rolls that you're going to be making, and basically everything's a check, right?
Everything.
I do like that you're kind of risking your own
Yeah.
resources to an extent.
Right. Right.
To do that. That's a clever idea. That's
It's
a
like
little different.
you're bidding.
You're basically, you're bidding, and yeah. So I do like that. It's a clever game, and you don't have to love literature. I hate literature with a passion. That's not true. I love literature. But it is. I'm just trying. I'm trying here. I'm trying to be contrarian. No, it's a good choice. It's a good choice.
No,
I
that
know
is
why
a
you
good one.
changed jobs.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I wasn't an English teacher, Liz.
All right, my number 7 is one that you were talking about with Roy just a little bit ago, a couple days ago. This
Right.
is Everdell.
Oh yeah.
I think Everdell has a pretty sweet solo mode. Right in the box. I think all the boxes, I don't know, because they've got like fancy box, normal box.
Yeah.
I can't keep this stuff straight. It's in my box, so I don't know, all right? There's a solo mode where you're going to be playing against the rat.
Rugwort.
Rugwort, okay? And that character with their pawns is going to be sort of occupying a few worker placement spots, not allowing you to go there, blocking a few cards, and that's largely it. It gets out of the way. And then you just play the game as you normally would. The only difference being, every time you claim a card, they randomly, with a die roll, claim a card from the sort of 8-card pool in the center. And then you replace that card. And you just keep going. When you change from one round or season to another one, you do a little upkeep. You know, they steal some more and sort of move to new locations, block new things. But it's very hands off. I like that because the game is not a solitaire game. Like it's not a solitaire game primarily. Right. It's just a multiplayer card game, sort of tableau building a little bit, that has a solo mode. But it's rare, at least for me it is, to see a game that does that and gets out of its own way a lot of the time. Usually it's like, here's a list of things to do, not just to play solo, but to set it up. And then in between every one of your rounds, you need to follow these 6 steps. Check if one is true. If not, skip 2.
Flowchart.
Like, no, you know. And this one just lets me play. You know, whenever I feel like playing that game, I don't have an opponent or opponents, I'll absolutely settle for that solo mode, man. I really find it fun. So, yeah.
I'm encouraged to hear this because I finally went all in on the last Kickstarter and backed it, so it'll show up.
Oh, yeah, I think you'll like it.
Yeah, it's a nice choice. Nice choice. My number 7 is where I went against the high score variant. This is a high score variant, but for some reason, I love this little game. It's another little card game. And in a solo game, I do like being able to get to play it quick. Weird theme, game you like quite a bit. I wonder if you play it solo, and this is the Bloody Inn.
I do play it.
Yeah, I really, really like this game, man. But I think it's really divisive. Some people, I think, find it confusing. Like the way the cards work, the multi-use cards can be a little confusing. It's a little intuitive. The way the economy works, where you have to cash in basically for checks every so often. But I love that management. I think that's a neat little mechanic, and that's all kept in the solo variant. Matter of fact, I think the solo variant, the only thing that changes is you've got, I think, 2 of those peasants that you start with, maybe, which is maybe a little different than in the base game. There's very few changes to the gameplay.
I think you start with the same amount, which is 2. I think you're right, but then you have extras.
You have extras in the little place there, So
there is one difference that I don't like in the solo mode, which is the only reason it works. And that's if you ever are caught with a body that's unburied, you immediately lose. So there is like I don't like that it's possible to just lose. Like halfway through what would qualify as a game. But I do like it. You know, it didn't make my list. Not even on my short list here, which went up to 15. But you know, I've played it. I like it. So that's
I play this one a lot. I like it a lot, and you're right. And it does kind of force you. You don't have that option to just let your bodies get. You know, you've got to. Bury them. It does kind of. It's more restrictive in that way, but I still dig it. Number 7, the Bloody Inn.
Nice.
Number 6.
All right, so now for my number 6. This is the close air support game I never thought I needed. It is Thunderbolt Apache Leader from Davidson Games. So I don't know anything about close air support. I'm pretty sure I did a video of this game where I referred to everything as a helicopter or like everything as an airplane. But the game is still so good. It's so much fun. So if you like to plan before you go into battle and you like to kind of level up characters and stay with them for a long period of time, Thunderbolt Apache Leader is awesome because you choose a campaign basically and you run missions against multiple battalions, enemy battalions, over multiple days. So you're choosing what planes you want, what pilots you're sending out, and those planes take damage and your pilots get stressed. So between actual sort of tactical combat rounds, you are managing your team and making decisions about how to spend your resources, and it has this really great feel where the fighting part is fast and it's snappy, and it involves die rolls, but your pilots get better as you go, so the modifiers get better over time. But then in between fighting is where the real meat of the game is happening, because you're thinking like, okay, well, can I send this plane out with bullet holes even though it's going to stress my pilot out? You know, do I need to swap in another pilot?
Are you the pilot? Then yes, you can. If you're not,
that's right. Clear for boarding.
Good luck. Here's some chewing gum.
So I really love this game for its campaign feel combined with the snappy gameplay when you actually fly a mission. So if you hate writing anything down in between rounds in a game, you might want to think twice, but I absolutely adore Thunderbolt Apache Leader. I love it so much. I did not think I would like a game about warplanes, but I totally did.
This is
It
an
happens.
outside choice. I didn't
yeah.
see it coming. This might be a war game, Liz. I have to tell you.
It's a war game.
Yeah,
They
and
happen to me sometimes.
Well, that's the thing. I'm intimidated by war games. Just looking at that picture of the components kind of gave me the hives a little bit. I mean, I found it aggressively ugly.
Have you looked in the mirror this morning?
This is true. I should be
Oh,
immune.
it's getting gross. It's getting gross out here.
I should be immune to unattractive things. That's true.
Oh, you are an attractive man. Let's just double down on this getting awkward. I'm going to put this out there. Mike DeLisio, you're a handsome-looking cat.
Well, thank you, Z. Coming from you, that means a lot.
Let's. Oh, no, I still got to do mine. I'm sorry.
But wait, really
Yeah, yeah.
quick. Note about war games.
Yes.
They're just games.
Yeah,
You play
I
board
know.
games already? It's just another game.
I know.
Relax. Your Fantasy Flight game probably also came with 3 rule books. Chill out. It'll be okay. I promise.
All right, what am I doing here? My number 6 is about a battle to brew the perfect cup of coffee.
Okay.
Coffee Roaster is my number 6. This is a solitaire-only game. I believe the only one on my list, technically speaking.
Which edition is your preference?
That's mine. That is, well, that's the one I have.
That's the
Anyway.
only
It's not
edition.
actually a picture of my game, but yeah, the first one's the one I have. I haven't played the new one though. To be honest, I might like it, but the first one was great. There was nothing wrong with it. You know, I didn't need. I don't need to look into changing it. I like the first one quite a bit. I think it's got a good look. I enjoy the game. It's sort of, you know, people talk a lot about. What's your favorite bag building game? Is it Orleans or is it, I don't know, whatever. It's always in the back of my head. I'm always like, it's Coffee Roaster, you know? It's bag building game. You are modifying the contents of this bag, chips you put in during setup, new ones you toss in, stuff you take out, try to, you know, min-max that to eventually, once you wrap up the play, brew a cup of coffee and pull tokens, place them in different locations, and you are, by doing that, brewing a cup of coffee. It's ingenious. It's such a bizarre game. It's way outside the box, you know, the usual kind of thing you're going to discover. And it works, man. And I reviewed a Sashi game the other day, and I said it on there. I'll say it about this one, too. They have a bizarre way over there of making sort of, you know, games that have a theme that's really off the beaten path feel right. This game doesn't, you know, you're not brewing a cup of coffee, but it works, and it kind of puts you there.
Yep.
You know, that's a skill, man. I don't know a lot of game designers or publishers that can do that, nail a quirky theme that, while you're not doing those things, physically feel right to you. You know. And I think Sashi as a company, they do that pretty consistently.
They do. I've got a word that I'm going to throw out there for Sashi.
Do it.
Charming. Their games
I'll
are
take
just
it.
charming
They are
to
charming.
me. They are charming. My biggest issue is I can never remember who's Sashi and who's Sashi.
I know. I get
That's
confused all the time,
Every
too.
time. It's so embarrassing. Every time it happens to me.
That's okay.
What are you
That's
gonna
my
do?
number 6, Coffee Roaster. Have you played this?
I have. Yeah, I actually also find the game charming. Yeah, I actually think I reviewed it on Dice Tower recently. I take it you never watch my reviews. My heart is broken.
You review on Dice Tower?
Sometimes.
Who is this person?
War gamer. She's a war gamer.
Okay. What do you got?
I got for my number 6 a game that I believe myself, the publisher, and the designers are the only people on the planet who like it, and that is Masmorra Dungeons of Arcadia.
You're assuming a lot there.
I know. I'm just, look.
No,
I don't
that the
hear it.
publisher likes it and the designer likes it.
That's fair. My number 6 is a game that I'm the only person on the planet who likes, and that is Masmorra.
You can guarantee likes it.
I
yeah.
do like this, yes.
All right.
Because I prefer to play this, even if I'm playing with other people, cooperatively, and the solo mode is cooperative.
You
So
can
wait, you're
find
saying you
people
would
to
rather-
play this with you.
What's
You would
that?
rather-
I have found people to play this with me.
So wait, what you're saying is if you got other people sitting at the table,
Yes.
you'd still rather just let them sit there while you're playing solitaire?
Well, they can
that what
watch
you-
me play.
That's what I thought you said.
They're participating. They're watching. You just said I'm handsome. What more do they need? Right?
Next time
You're
you want to play
in my
Masmorra
presence.
Solitaire, let me know.
You're circling around my atmosphere. What more do you want from me? Watch me play this game.
It's getting super weird.
It's fantastic. I like the
I
fact
want
that
nothing more. Let's just leave it at that.
as a cooperative game, you can play with one character. And I love that. You don't
Yes,
have to
big
run
time.
15 of these characters around.
Big time.
And that's my, people say, oh, it's similar to Zombicide, you're chucking dice. Yeah, but you're controlling one character. You're not controlling 6 characters. And it's quick. The biggest downside is that everyone hates it, and that it has a relatively involved setup. So there is that. But I just like this game. I like the little monster dice, Tom. I like them. I have no problem with the monster dice. They don't have to be monsters. Make them dice. I'm really going to push for this game. Play this game. It's good. Tom's not going to play it. He's over it. It's good. That's my number 6, Masmora.
I haven't played it.
Number 5.
All right, so now it is time for number 5. My number 5 pick is Spirit Island. So Spirit Island is a cooperative game in which you are spirits who are defending an island and the people who live there from invading colonial powers, some of which in some variants of the game are actual identified European colonial powers. But what I really love about the game is that, especially now with expansions coming out, there's so many different spirits, each of which has its own kind of way of gaining power and moving across the board. There's a lot of, there's like a, would you call it deck building? I mean, the decks are small.
In a sense, yeah.
You're getting more cards in your arsenal that do interesting things as the game goes by. And so you start out really weak, and it's sort of terrifying trying to deal with invaders. Right. And then as the game goes on, you gain power, and you make more interesting plays, and you can make your spirits cooperate in more interesting ways. And it's just a really satisfying, but very puzzly game.
Yeah. Nice choice.
There must be a lot going on in this solitaire, yeah.
Yeah, you can play it with just one spirit, so if you want to just play one thing, I actually recommend that for your starting games because you only have to control one spirit and worry about one piece of land.
Okay.
But I now prefer to play with 2, so the game changes depending on how many spirits there are. Right. So there's just like 2 little pieces of island. One spirit starts out on one spirit starts out on another, and you kind of spread out towards each other and help each other out.
One spirit helps you feel comfortable with the mechanisms of the game, and then once you have that internalized, then you can go to the 2 spirits so that they kind of play out, those powers play off each other. So yeah, I'd recommend one to begin with too.
Yeah.
Man, I had a hard time wrapping my head around this when I was just 1 out of 4 people.
Yeah.
I'm too dumb for this.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're handsome, though. You're really handsome. I'm just putting this out there. Z Garcia, you are a handsome man.
I appreciate that. Though you did just call me stupid.
You can't have it all.
All right, what am I at here? 5 for me is the newest, I believe so, game on the list. It is Imperial Settlers Empires of the North.
Yeah.
Has a pretty good solo mode in there, and it is, I would say, the best in the series. I'm talking about Imperial Settlers, 51st State, and now this one being the latest one because it feels like they just put clearly more time into a solo mode. It's a much more dedicated effort to say, fine, there's a solo mode in here. Both the other games had solo modes in them.
They did.
But they were sort of attached at the end there. Well, here's how you can adjust the regular game to play. They're not bad.
I did like the Imperial Settlers campaign. That was released as like a PDF.
Oh, okay.
I
haven't messed with that yet.
So
no,
with the
not
scenarios
really.
and stuff.
They're not really connected.
Yeah,
no.
that's true. They're not connected.
So no, I haven't played that. But that you could play just basically a bunch of sessions in a row, right?
Yeah. So you basically gain perks and kind of grow in power as your faction as games go by.
Did you have to stick with your faction when you did it?
Yeah, so like, I'm going to campaign as the Romans, and then you would play a whole bunch of games as the Romans and try to...
Okay. No, I haven't messed with it, but I liked it. Yeah, I liked the regular game. And 51st State I definitely liked also. But this one, man, you just get to open up a little booklet dedicated to solo mode. It tells you how to set up changes for that, your victory point goal.
Yep.
And then the rest of the game plays largely the same way. You're still trying to hit a threshold. So, but there is a target number. And so it's not like you were saying, I'm not a big fan either of this whole, I got 37 points. Write that down. Next time you play, did you get more than 37? Hooray for you. It's like, well, it's not very satisfying. I like the winning and losing.
Right.
And in this one, you do have a score, so you could technically, keep track of that, but you do need to hit a threshold to win.
Gotta try this now.
You'll
I'm
like
excited.
it. I think you'll like it a lot.
Yeah. I think you will too. So that is Empires of the North. My number 5.
My number 5 is going to sound familiar, and that's because it's our first crossover. And it's a crossover of the same number, and it's not Imperial Settlers Empires of the North because I haven't played that one enough yet, although I really like it. It's Spirit Island.
Yeah, there we go.
Spirit Island, yeah. So for all the reasons you mentioned, and for all the reasons that Z doesn't like it, namely his lack of intelligence, I really like this game. It's I like the other thing. If you haven't, the other thing. The couple of things that I really like that you didn't talk about was the fast and slow powers. I love that. Although that's not unique to the solo game. That's just one of the reasons why I like the game. I like that quite a bit. And I had another point that I forgot, and I can't remember. But
who's dummy dum now?
I like it. It's good game. I like that it also kind of turns. I also like that it kind of you were toying with this idea of it throws those kind of standard tropes on their head, the civilization tropes on their head, where you are these mystical spirits trying to push out the colonial bad guys. So
I thought the theme was awesome.
Yeah. But the reason why it's not higher is, all joking aside, because it is a beast. It's hard to learn. It's hard to teach. There is a big learning curve there. I do feel like if you put in the time that you're going to get that back, but not everyone really wants to spend 2 to 3 hours figuring out how to play a game. And the first few times you're in that rule book a lot. Yeah. But I love the way it looks. I like the mechanisms. I like how differently the spirits play. And if it makes you feel better, there are some spirits I just won't play because I think they're too hard. They're just too complicated. I stick with. There's a few spirits that I feel comfortable with, and I don't go towards the other ones.
Yeah.
They are rated for your convenience,
Correct.
so if you want to have a better, easier playing session, then you can choose a spirit pretty easily.
Yeah, hard, medium, easy, and Delicio. I stick with the Delicio spirits.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Number 4.
Wow, we are on number 4. This is going by so fast.
Woo!
All right,
More than halfway.
Man.
Crazy.
So my number 4 is my favorite deck builder, which is Aeon's End, which I absolutely love. So Aeon's End is a cooperative deck builder, or solo if you're me, where I do believe people play with one mage, but I prefer 2. And it's really interesting as a deck builder because you don't shuffle your discard pile. So you're choosing the order that you put things in to increase your chances of drawing combos later. So it's a lot of planning and deciding who's going to buy what and what order will I discard my cards in. And, you also are fighting these amazingly intricate, after a while, bad guys. So, the first one, Rageborn, is like your basic one. But then there are so many interesting mechanisms that emerge as you fight different enemies and you try out different mages that have different special powers. The game now has so many releases that there's just a ton of stuff to try. So if you've never played it before, you might try Aeon's End Legacy because it starts off really simple and walks you right in. I started with just the base game, and I loved that. And I really liked War Eternal, so the first big box expansion for that. And it's one of those games that has had so many releases over so long that have all been enjoyable for me that I just really can't imagine my game collection without it at this point. I love deck builders, and I love this one in particular.
I may be completely off the mark here, but it seems like this has only been out maybe 2 years max?
No, because I got my copy of it when I still lived in North Carolina, which was over 3 years ago.
Okay, maybe it's just I didn't pay a lot of attention, because it seems like there have been 15 versions of this, all these, and I've never actually played it. I don't know why. Something about it just does not appeal to me. I don't know what it is.
I think it took a little bit of time to get some traction, though, right? Maybe that's why.
It has a huge following in the solo community. I mean, people love this game. I I'll get over myself at some point and I'll try it. I haven't been interested.
Honestly, the Legacy edition kind of sounds good. I would like that. I think it might be nice to sort of get walked through it, for lack of a better term.
Right.
Have you actually played the Legacy mode of it, the version of it?
I actually have. So the Legacy one is fun because you make your own mages and grow them over time.
Okay,
and
that's
then
cool.
And then components from that game are mixable with other releases after you're done. So the campaign doesn't completely waste all the components of that game. It can still fold in to other stuff. But actually the good thing about it is, so I think this is true for all of them, there's actually like a setup for your first game right when you open the box. So there's my first game rules, and there are decks that say this is already set up for you, don't go shuffling it yet. There's like a tutorial game, so it'll actually tell you what to set up the first time. So when you first open the box, you're going to have a nice experience that's a little bit more tutorial-esque, that holds your hand a little bit, so you don't have to just freak out and look at all the cards.
Okay.
All right.
So really quickly, does the game have cards?
A lot of cards.
I'm out.
No, it has dice. Monster dice.
Oh, okay. Monster dice?
Oh,
I'm
man.
back in.
I'm back in, baby. All right. My number 4 is one of those games you've heard about, one of those evil games that is app-assisted.
It's not a game.
I'm going
It's
to
a video
choose to
game?
call it a game for this list,
It's an app-assisted activity.
but I understand your hesitation. I'm losing myself and trying to be eloquent. Rising 5, the runes of you can't play this in 50 years.
The Runes of Obsolescence.
Oh, that would be a great title.
No one's finding pieces of this in 1,000 years.
Technically speaking, yes, this needs an app to play, but you can play without it, actually.
Yeah, you can.
You can put
You can be
someone.
an overlord, yeah.
You can have somebody sit there and run the game for you. They can't really play. That person is just sitting there, and when you ask them a question about a puzzle, they say, "Here's the solution to that."
Yeah.
That's it. So definitely play with an app if it's all the same. But you know, you're assured that you can still play this when we all lose power and the zombies spread. You can get your Rising 5 on. I'm just kidding. This is a good one. It's kind of Mastermind.
Yeah.
You're solving a puzzle, you know, with the 4 colors, kind of, and the arrangement of those things. And while you're doing that, there is this whole other game going on around it. A very light game, okay? You are spending cards to move one of the characters from one location to another, to take an action to fight, which is a die roll, to trigger a card, stuff like that. Very simple. One of the neat things about it is that there is a cast of characters always available in the game, and none of them belong to anyone at the table. So on my turn, I might control the same character you just stopped controlling on your turn. I like that a lot. I like the puzzle. It's simple, but it's cute. It's attractive, well done. And I like that the games are short. This is actually a good
Really short.
filler.
Yep.
Because it takes about 30 minutes to play this. Setup obviously being a little bit more extra time on top of that, but this is a good one, a quick one. It's bright, it's attractive.
Yep.
This is the kind of thing I like in solo games. I want them to be a time filler. You know, I don't like solo games that are going to take me 3 hours. If I really have that much time, I'm going to go play a video game or read something or do something else. You know what I mean? That's a little long for me. No, I know you'd like that experience, but usually for me, a solo game steps in when I have not enough time for another activity. I feel like gaming, but I want it to be something that's going to sort of satisfy a craving, and then I'm like ready to move on to something else. This one does that. It does it very well. So Rising 5, Runes of Astros is my number 4.
Lovely choice. That would be on my short list. I like Rising 5.
Have you played it?
I've not. I've had people message me and say I should play it.
Yeah.
It might be-
I'll get there.
It's really
It might be too light, Liz. I think you might not like it because it's really, really basic. I don't know.
I like light games.
Show me 2 on this list.
That's true. She likes that Thunderbolt Apache leader. That game is like barely there, right?
I heard it's a very approachable, light game.
Correct. Like a single sheet of rules.
Do you hear these people?
If it's printed end to end and goes on for a couple.
Right.
But hey, I also like Onirim. You know,
Which one?
the one he hasn't mentioned yet? right, well, my number 4 is a game that I honestly think may continue to go up. Man, I love this game. This is
Make sure.
other than Scythe, probably my biggest, most epic solo gaming experience. If I want to sit down at the table for a while, I'm going to break out the City of Kings. Man, do I
Nice.
love this game, and man,
Nice.
do I think it's misunderstood. Tom, it's way misunderstood, but not just by Tom. I think
Thanks.
it's because people, and I've mentioned this before, so I won't belabor it, but I think people are looking for a different experience than the game is trying to provide. I just, as a matter of fact, had the designer on a podcast that I do, and he described it as an open world adventure puzzle game. And that's a perfect way to put it, because it's a puzzle game. It's an adventure puzzle game with some senses of exploration. Now, if you only play one scenario that has you focusing on resource management, you're going to think, well, this is a stupid little pick up and deliver game. Well, I don't think it's stupid, first of all, but there's a lot of different puzzles that he's got in the box. If you want to play something that is about combat, you can play something that's about combat. If you want to play a pick up and deliver experience, you can do that. If you want to play a resource management, a resource conversion, you can do that. And he labels them as such. You know, he'll tell you, oh, this is a resource type of a game. This is and it's really tile based, but a lot of times people are saying, okay, you feel like it doesn't feel like you're going through a dungeon. Well, because that's not what you're trying to do. That's not what the game is about. It's about, here's this finite puzzle that I need to solve, and how am I going to do it with this very, very incessant timer that's working against me, that you can see every round it's going. And not only is it going, but it's triggering potential negative effects that you might have triggered throughout the game. I just think it's great. I mean, I love the vision. It's got a similar thing to Gloomhaven, where you could tell this is one person's vision. This is their world that they've created. I love the aesthetic of it. I don't care that the monsters are somewhat generic. It doesn't bother me at all. I can use my own imagination. I'm happy. I'm happy to do it. I love the City of Kings.
So
I buy games to use other people's imagination. Otherwise, I'll save my money.
So I think that's a good choice. I actually also really enjoy City of Kings.
Yeah.
I like leveling up my characters, trying to figure out combat, because the way that movement works is so interesting. It's a puzzly game, and I also really appreciate that. That's a nice choice. I like it.
Awesome.
I'm proud of you guys. So good. Conversing, getting along.
Only for the camera.
Yeah.
Number 3.
You know, I think Z brought up a good point. Video games is really kind of a form of a solo game. So pretty much we're all solo gamers if you think about it.
That better be the Goose Game, Tom.
No, let's.
Untitled
Goose Game.
Untitled Tom video is what that is. If I see that man pop up in here one more time.
Then what? I'm kind of curious now.
Come on, follow up your threat now.
I'll hurt somebody.
All right, so
I'm looking at you, Kenny.
He is a menace.
So number 3, my number 3 solo game is the one that actually made me a solo gamer. So I played some board games in high school. I played some in college and in grad school. And in grad school, I met some friends who liked to play Magic the Gathering. And I liked deck construction, but I did not like the money I was spending on booster packs. So I took an expensive game and then bought an equally expensive game, which is the Lord of the Rings living card game.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there are other living card games out there. I am even, I think, willing to acknowledge, I think Arkham LCG might be the better game, but I'm so emotionally attached to this one. I love the theme. I love making decks to overcome interesting and difficult challenges. I like all the little Lord of the Rings set storylines that you can play through when you get all the different little small cycle packs. I really love Lord of the Rings LCG. It has provided me endless entertainment for years, and I'm still not done.
Do you think that you have to be a fan of Lord of the Rings to really get into it, or how much does that play? I've only played this once, and I do like Lord of the Rings. I'm not a fanatic about it or anything, but
You need to have at least an appreciation for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I think it helps, but honestly, a lot of characters in it are, more obscure, and you don't have to know everything ever about Lord of the Rings to enjoy it. For me,
Right.
it's
No, no,
more,
yeah.
oh, how do these skills work together? Like, oh, let me try,
Right.
these different color mixes in my decks.
Right.
Let me look at this puzzle challenge that kicked my butt last time and try to figure out like what can I put together to take it out
Right.
this time. For me, it really satisfies that feeling that you get in Magic the Gathering, where you're
Right.
building a deck, you're trying to figure out how many copies of card you want and how tight is the deck going to be, what mechanics do I want to focus on, and I can get that feeling from this game without having to crack a pack and hope for the best.
okay. As long as I
Yeah.
can play as Voldemort, I'm good.
Oh my goodness.
Good thing you didn't play 10 for 10 this morning.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you. I think you're right. It is, unfortunately for me, my issue is I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
But I think it's largely because I don't see it and play it the way you do, which is right. It's like, here's a puzzle, much like that City of Kings game. Now that I've lost to it horrendously, and I know what's coming, I'm just going to go away and make a deck that totally is
Right.
designed only to beat that. And then come back and try to beat it. Oh, I beat it. Okay, next scenario. Oh, I just got trounced because this deck I built doesn't have any solid combat, and this is a combat scenario. Let me go away, build a deck that's all about combat. That wouldn't work in anything else. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's, I guess, what bothers me about it at the end of the day, a little bit. I used to own this game a long time ago. Played it 3 times, got rid of it. I was like, this is insane. This game is tremendously hard. And I reacquired it later, years later. So I still have it. I have it now.
Oh, okay.
And I enjoy it a little more now that I've kind of come back to it, having just more experience of general solo games.
Yeah.
But it's still stinking hard. It is a hard game.
It is a hard game, and this is one of those games where I think that Fantasy Flight's gotten better about this, but the core box is really hard. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
that's-
hardest challenge in
Why do
there,
they do
I don't
that?
really think you can.
Why
it's
do they
a
do
real
that?
pain,
They put
like,
these
out of
really
that
hard
box.
ones in the base box.
And they usually tell you to start with one that
Right.
most people
Yeah.
agree after the fact
Yeah.
you shouldn't start with.
Right.
That seems weird to me.
Yeah.
Don't they play test these things to
Yeah.
figure out this is harder than
So-
that? Do that one.
I think the hardest thing about this one is that you do have to have someone tell you what to start with to have the best time. And if you just go buy the box and you try to play that hardest scenario in there, you're going to be like,
Well, I'm gonna call you up, Obi-Wan, then, because I need some guidance. This game is super hard. But maybe I will do that instead and just try to ignore the core box stuff and play some of the scenarios. See, maybe they're a little bit easier.
yeah. That Hunt for Gollum scenario is fine. You'll be fine.
You can't find that anymore. That's super out of print.
I'll lend it to you. We have mail.
The Hunt for Gollum, so easy, even Z can win.
You can print that anywhere. All right, what's my number? My number 3 is my second pick from the Oniverse series of games. And this is the other one that you said you liked that's newer, Nautilian.
Yeah, I like this game.
I think you're right, man. These dice ones are on fire. Technically, this one's under the water, so
Yeah.
it can't be. That's not true. I'm all science-minded today. Nautilian is about a submarine. You're traveling to I don't know, someplace. Who cares? And then there's some baddies traveling back from there to where you're from, trying to wreck your house up.
Right.
And you need to make sure you get over there before they arrive to the place from whence you came. And along the way, you are gathering crew. You are sort of picking up these little tiles and putting them on your board. But the way you do all of this jazz is the most dreaded
Roll and
of
move.
mechanisms. Roll.
and move.
Oh, not the old roll and move. You roll 3 dice. You pick one for your movement. You pick one for the baddie's movement. And the other one just you set aside, but it has to be a specific number or it's like a little pinprick. It starts to pick at you. You don't put the right die there too long, it's going to hurt you.
You're going to get wrecked.
I like it. Yeah, it's just sort of like a little 15 minutes. One of the shortest
It
ones.
is, yeah.
Optimization puzzle kind of. Just collecting bits and putting them in your sub. And I like that even though it is one of the shortest ones, and mechanically speaking one of the easiest ones, It's also one of the ones that has the most variety in the box.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of boards that represent different configurations of subs, and where things can go matters because of the adjacency of things. And they give you a few variants in there that you can add to the track, and you discover new things along the way. They got all sorts of little fun little trinkets to kind of throw in and spice up the experience. I like this one a lot. Yeah, Nautilian is awesome.
Yeah, the Omniverse games, especially the second editions and the newer ones, where they basically, you've got that base game there in the box, which is pretty simple to understand, and then all of these variations. Some of them have like 7 or 8 expansions in the box. And they actually add something. They're not just there for show. I mean, they really do change the experience. So I like Nautilian quite a bit.
Yeah, I actually think Nautilian is probably the most vanilla as a base game, but it has very strong expansions in the box. I actually like Ariane a little bit better because I like some of the Ariane expansions a little bit better. But
those are cool.
Nautilian is a very solid, light, nice game. I like that one.
I like that I think the part of it, honestly, is just that this guy went and took a roll and move mechanism and
made it work.
Made it a fun game.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I like it sort of just to be like, kudos, man. You know what I mean? It's almost part of it.
You pull it off.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game. I like both a lot. But as you can tell from all three of us, both of these new ones, the dice rolling ones, are fun.
They are good. Yeah, don't be scared off by the dice.
No, they're fun.
My number 3 is a crossover. This time it's a crossover with Mr. Garcia.
About time I get some love.
And this is another worker placement, but there's more to it. What do you think it is? No, sir.
Everdell.
Everdell, yeah, Everdell. I do like me some Everdell, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah, tell me about Rugwort.
Rugwort, the rat, and you've already described it. It's basically, he's going to block spots from you. He's going to block cards from you. And it's just so simple to administer. I mean, it really is. It's like, okay, you know he's going to start here. These cards are going to be unavailable to you. The only other thing that really happens is that if the cards that go to his little area count towards those events, and so if you see he's got 3 of those green cards, you may start trying to grab up green cards so you can grab that event before he does.
Right, sure.
And so I like that you still have to account for that stuff.
You do.
That still plays in, and that gives him a ton of, most of his endgame scoring is going to come from the things you didn't achieve.
Well, most of the, that's the thing. At the end of the game, he gets everything you didn't.
You didn't do,
Yeah, like those goals, the special cards.
Right.
They say, like, you got to have, the clock tower and the crazy bird.
Right.
Whatever. Like, if you don't do it, he just gets it for free. It's like,
he's a rat. He steals it from you.
What a rat, you dirty rat.
Oh, you dirty rat. You rock what?
It's a good one.
It's good. It's gorgeous.
Not the accents. The game.
It's simple to play, but there's plenty of fun decisions. I still like being able to have this experience if there's no one else around to play. Or
Are you
Roy.
psyched yet?
Yeah. Also, I read a lot of Red Bull books as a kid, so this hits all the right artistic notes for me.
Yeah. It's really good. My number 3, Everdell.
All right.
Number 2.
All right, number 2. So, my number 2 game is a game that I bought years ago, still play all the time. It was worth every dime I spent on it, and it was a considerable amount of money because it's Hoplomachus from Chip Theory Games.
Gesundheit.
So this is a picture of Hoplomachus Origins. However, I actually recommend that you start with the Lost Cities and then get Rise of Rome, which are the large box ones, because those are the ones that are the most kind of free range. So Hoplomachus Origins has solo trials that are like little puzzles to solve, but Lost Cities allows you to just pick a faction and go up against a boss, and it's really dramatic and it's fun and it's just different every time. You roll dice, but the dice that you roll are based on the power of your units. There's a lot of tactical choices to make, and then when you add Rise of Rome, you get 2 new cities, Rome and Pompeii, but the most important thing is you get some of the best AI opponents that I've ever gotten to play in any sort of skirmishy game. So there are all these really interesting titans to fight that give you different challenges. Some of them are really hard, and it's just so exciting. I actually lent this game to one of my game night friends, and he threatened not to give it back.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm going
Did
to lend
you
it
get
out
it back?
again. I did. Yes. Yes, I did.
Oh, find somebody.
But
I don't know, Liz Davidson. We find you.
but
We're gonna get you.
But I love this game. I just love it. I always will play it. All the different cities are fun. They all play a little bit different. You know, you get different configurations of enemies each time, and it's just good.
How hard is it to manage the? I've never played this. How hard is it to manage the AI? Because it's a skirmish game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I would think that a lot of times there would have to be a lot of conditions. Well, if this is happening, then they do this. If you're here, I mean, how?
So thank goodness it is easy. So
Okay.
especially if you start with Lost Cities, the different kinds of enemies have specific ways of moving. You just roll a die, see what it's going to do. It does that thing.
Okay.
And it will be sufficiently difficult that you're still worried about whatever you're going to roll. And then there are actually little cards that give you instructions for the Titans in the next entry in the series. I found it to be very manageable.
Okay.
So it's not like, flowchart fun.
If then type
No.
things. Yeah. Okay.
Was it basic?
Yeah.
If
20 go to
20.
10.
I will
It's
say
so
that-
fun having a top 10 with you guys because we can make intellectual comments and everybody at the table gets it. I made a basic joke. He picked up right on it. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys are here.
Thank you, Z. Did I
I
mention
hope this
how
never
handsome you are?
changes. Oh.
Let's just soak this up. All right.
Are you good, Liz?
I'm great. Doing amazing.
My number 2 is Onirim or however you want to say it. This is my favorite from the series. It's the OG. I had the original packaging actually for this and then got the second edition. And I've just always liked it. I thought it was such a brilliant way to take typical sort of solitaire, right? Like, with a deck of cards, a 52 deck of cards, and add some bizarro theme, but add mechanisms in there that allowed this to work and work really well and be balanced and be expandable and give you highs and lows and moments of tension and moments of suspense. And with a deck of cards, solo, by playing cards in a line, you know what I mean? It was sort of a little revelatory to me, I think, when I first played this, and I thought, okay, this seems cute, I'll give it a shot, I'll play a little solitaire card game. But the fact that it had somehow gave you turn angst and tension at the end of the game, where you were like, oh, I have to refill my hand, okay, I'm good, and the games were nail biters. It was just kind of a crazy game. All this stuff should work. It's a game. It's a card game where you put little symbols in a line for one player, but it does. And the expansions that they gave you, both in the original edition of this, which is now hard to get, don't even worry about it, and the new one, all those expansions are pretty good at least. Yeah. Some are great. Some I love, and you can mix and match too, right? So there's a lot of discovery there, but man, there's a lot of content for someone who wants a fairly casual card game for single player, and you want some replayability. You're good for a while with this. Yeah. There is an app of the game. They only have a couple of the expansions in the app, unfortunately. But if you want to dip your toe in the water and try this out, you can get the app. Sometimes it's free, or maybe it's free now. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, it's easy to find, and a lot of folks I know discovered the game from the app after there finally was an app, and it seems to be a liked app. I certainly enjoy it. I play it pretty frequently on there, so check this one out. You've both played it, I assume.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On the plane last night.
Yeah, it's good.
So,
it's a
there you
classic.
go.
I'd say it's a classic solo game now. I mean, it really has kind of got.
And that's kind of a subset of a subset, but I would agree, honestly.
Yeah. And I think that they've done such a good job with these second edition Oniverse games. I mean, they're beautiful little packages.
They really are.
You may not like the art, and that's fine, to each his or her own, but let me tell you, the production quality is gorgeous. It really is. I mean, they've done a good job with them, and I'm glad, because it's a niche. It's a very niche set of games.
It is.
Yeah. All right, speaking of niche, My number 2 is a crossover again, so we've got some great minds thinking alike up in here. This is that beautiful little bag builder coffee roaster. Man, this game is so good. I love this game so much. This is another game that there's almost never a time I wouldn't be up for playing it because it's so quick. I mean, you could theoretically just play one bean and you're done in 10 minutes. Normally what you're supposed to do is play 3 beans in a row. And how you do score on the first bean will tell you the difficulty of the second bean that you're trying to roast. And then how you do on that one is the third bean, and you take all of your scores and that. And again, it's a high score type variant, and I don't care because I just love this game.
Yeah.
It is just so, again, charming. I'm not even a huge bag builder guy normally. I mean, Orleans I think is okay, but this game's just so good. I mean, it really, because it also has a little bit of that push your luck thing at the end when you're pulling out. I just love that tension of I'm pulling out here to fill up my coffee cup. When am I going to stop? It's just so good. It's just so good. And there is an app for this too. It's not. The last I checked, it was not really great as far as functionality and the UI. And so if your only impression of it is based off that app, and you get a chance to play the game, play the physical game, because unless they've improved the app, it was a little bit rough and buggy. So this game deserves to be played by more people. I am glad, even though I don't prefer the new art, I prefer the original Sashi art, I am really glad that it's available to more people in the Americas, and so you should hop on it if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
Agree. Actually, if you're curious about the differences between the boxes, on my channel, Beyond Solitaire, I actually did a comparison. I just put the boxes side by side and went through. So if you're concerned,
the bits you went through everything in it?
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Nice.
if you're concerned, it's out there. Check it out.
Cool.
And finally, number 1.
Despite hurtful comments made by Z, I think at the end of the day, when we look inside, we're all solitaire gamers. And well, hey.
Let's get down to business, shall we?
Ooh, number 1. This is the best solo game ever, according to the 3 esteemed people at this table.
Mine is the best solo game ever. It is, and it's Mage Knight, and it will always be the best solo game ever for the foreseeable future. I love that game. If I could play one game for the rest of my life, it would be Mage Knight. I absolutely love it.
If you played it, might be the last game that you play because it's 17 hours long. So
that's not true.
You could play this, how many more times in your lifetime? 4 times maybe?
Wow.
What?
Wow. She's going to die in like 2 days?
I tracked the 17 hours.
Monstrous thing is this to say?
Let me get a little more hyperbolic here. So it takes 23 years to play this game. And so you got, 4 more plays?
There we go. That's a lot nicer.
Mage Knight has everything. It has exploration. It has conquest. It has magic. It has trying to play your cards intelligently, even when you have a bad hand. You get to make so many decisions. You get to level up this character. There's so many different scenarios to play. The Lost Legion expansion is amazing. This was dethroned this year on the People's Choice Top 200 list. Disapprove community. But a lot of solo gamers love this game, but it's for a good reason. Yeah. It's because it is so
Because they have a lot of time on their hands.
I was
I kid.
I absolutely adore this game. I was actually joking earlier that I should just stop doing everything else for a month and just play Mage Knight and ignore my other games to play.
Can I ask you a question in all seriousness?
Sure.
Do you not think this game has aged a little bit? Do you not think that there are games out there that give you a similar experience in 1/1000th of the time?
No, because there's no similar experience to this.
Okay.
It's so sprawling and just so
it's sprawling.
Big and I just love it. I love it. It's so good. It's such a good game.
That's a feature for you.
Yeah,
you like that.
I like that there's a lot to do. I like having a lot of different choices, a lot of different directions to go. I like having choices about what card do I want, how bad do I want an upgrade, what do I want to upgrade about myself. I really enjoy that feeling of growth throughout a game.
Yeah.
And so for me, Mage Knight still does it best.
Oh, and I'm going to get blasted. Make no mistake, because Mage Knight is like massively popular with the solo, and not just the solo gaming community. I'm having some fun with it. I understand and appreciate why this game is so popular. It just doesn't suit my gameplay style very much.
Right.
That's not for me.
Yeah. But it's a good choice for the
Right.
people that love it, which is most people that play it.
Well, one thing I like about our list too, though, is that there are a lot of different kinds of solo gamers out there. I would say that my list skews more like traditional if you're looking at the Board Game Geek guild and what most people who are actually in forums talking about solo games like to play. And even then, there's so much variation.
Yeah.
But anybody can game solo. There's a whole range of games to play. There's so much good stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like,
Even I can do it.
Even Z. Not Tom, though.
no, not Tom.
He's not a solo gamer.
No.
Shut up.
He's still here. Well, let me summon an eldritch beast to slay him then.
Wait, what?
In my number one
it.
pick, Arkham Horror, the card game.
That is a good pick.
The
That is a good
bestest
pick.
of picks, except for Mage Knight.
Thank you.
Which is clearly the number one. This is my number 1.1 then, just to allow for Mage Knight
Sure.
possibilities in the future. I shan't play that. No, I like this a lot. I think it's, you were talking earlier, like a while ago, we talked about story in games, like that you felt that it just wasn't kind of like really the main medium for delivering a story per se. The puzzle part, the mechanisms, that's a bigger part of it.
Yeah.
I think in this game, story is a big part of it for me. I think it delivers a solid story. I think it does manage to, while within the limitations of a random deck of cards, you know what I mean? You have to account for that. You have to give a little leeway to the game. If you allow it to work on you, you allow that story to come forth. You know, sort of like trim the movie a little bit and bring some little parts together. You got a good story out of this game. Mechanically, it's robust. It's interesting. It's got some of that deck creation. It's got an avatar that you can really start sort of getting into, you know. It's got good world building just from sort of reading the preamble to the story and then the wrap up to it. But even during those sessions, they're enigmatic and they are captivating, and I find that really interesting. So yeah, this is my favorite. I don't play it. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I've played Onirim way more than I've played this.
Yeah, sure.
But it's also, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. This is...
It's a very different experience.
It is a very different experience.
Yeah.
I have to be in the mood to play this, whereas Onirim or Nautilion or something, I don't particularly need to be like in the mood. I'm just like, I have a few minutes.
Yeah.
Bam. Rolling dice. This, you gotta want to have this kind of experience at that given moment. But when I do, this is very fulfilling. So that's why it's my number one. And it's also, of course, they're expanding it, so there's more content there. I'm liking where they're going with that content. This is fun. It's just good. So my number one, Arkham Horror, living card game.
Nice. Yeah, I only recently played it, but I'm glad I did. And you were really pushing for me to try it.
Yeah, I figured you would like it.
No, I did like it. It was quite good. So
yeah, good.
It's if I continue to play it, it may move up my list eventually.
Yeah.
All right. My number one is a big old fat cheat.
Oh, what happened?
Okay, so
What had happened
here's
was...
a game that, when it was released, did not have a solo variant.
So far, so good.
Okay? This was a game that I don't believe was ever intended to have a solo variant.
I'm still with you.
Listening.
However, the designer was working on a next game in a related series that had a solo variant. And the
Stretching.
making of that solo variant allowed him to say, hey, I can make this work for Raiders of the North Sea. And so this is my number one solo game, especially when you incorporate the expansions into it.
Way to follow the rules, Mike.
So
Okay.
the way this works, and I want to be very upfront there, because if you go out and buy this game, it will not have the solo variant. Okay? You can't
So
play
this
it out
is
of the
not a
box.
solo...
No, you have to purchase a solo deck. So there is a solo. It's simply a small deck of cards, and I would love.
It's not just a document online.
No. It's from the designer.
Oh, okay, you're good. You're back in, baby.
Yeah, I would love future printings of this game to come with the solo deck in the box. But as of now, they have not. I really wish they would, because this game, as a solo experience, deserves that. But really what happened is that the designer was working on Architects of the West Kingdom while developing the solo mode for that, which is really kind of a similar, what he calls a scheme deck. It's like an automa deck of cards. That was something that he kind of retrofitted into Raiders, and at that point he had already designed both expansions, and so he made one single simple deck of cards that works either for the base game, for one or other or both of the expansions. It is so simple. You flip over the top card, you do a couple of little things in order, and boom, you're playing the game, and it's really good. I mean, first of all, I love this game, and I love being able to play it solo, and you've got a virtual, opponent that you're playing against, so there's like win-loss conditions. It's just so good. It's just so good, and whoever can do it. If you're making the next printing of it, and I hope it's popular enough to continue to get printings, I think it is, put the solo deck in there. Come on now. Put the solo deck in there. Let us have it. Now,
be a pal.
Be a pal.
To the little person.
So I've got some solo-friendly people in here. Do you think that consumers, and maybe even people off camera would weigh in on this, do you think that consumers would put up with $5 higher retail price to have that put in there?
What do you think you are?
I think the answer is no.
Get your hand out of my wallet.
And I think that's why it's not going to happen, quite honestly. This may be the best solution, is that if you want it as a solo gamer, you pay the extra whatever. It's not a lot. It's not a huge amount of money for the solo deck, but yeah, I don't know.
No,
not going to happen.
I'm paying $5 for you to have fun. I want my $5 back, in fact.
I'll get that to you.
I think people are paying a lot for a lot of things these days. So you never know.
True. That's
but
true.
At the end of the day, they can hide that cost among other things.
That's true.
Like if this is, the coins are better or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, just get
and
some
that deck of cards
pieces.
is in it, and it's $10 more. You don't really know where that comes from.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Actually, just don't even put the rule book in there.
Don't put the coins in it.
Save the money from the rule book and put the solo deck in there. You can figure out how to play it, right? No.
True. You can just go online and download the rule book.
Figure it out.
Deliver the game in a large Ziploc baggie.
With shrimp.
What?
We're back to the Nemos War thing.
Oh, okay.
It's a callback, people.
Yeah.
I
apologize. Back to the laser
Roll the
cutout,
tape.
so you smell a little, hellfire when you open up your game.
I was so confused by that. That was such a weird comment. All right.
I caught it.
That was fun.
For the record.
I enjoyed it. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I enjoyed it.
That was very enjoyable.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for us on this top 10. We want to thank you, Liz, for coming in and joining us. That was very fun.
Yes. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
You brought some actual knowledge, I think, and well-researched study of solo gaming. Certainly to my half of what I would have done here. Mike kind of knows his stuff, but not really. So make sure you come back tomorrow, folks. We are going to be doing a live play. Remind me what it is? Lander, that's right, of Lander. So make sure you come on back tomorrow for that, tomorrow morning for that. And other than that, we're going to get out of here. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. Thanks for joining us. Leave some comments below about stuff you like to play solitaire.
Yeah.
Maybe, sometimes these things go unnoticed. So what are some solo modes out there that maybe aren't as popular because people maybe haven't heard about it? Maybe they got published after the fact, official ones, So let us know in the comments about those.
Definitely.
All right, that's going to be it for us. My name is Z Garcia.
I'm Liz Davidson.
I am Mike Delisio.
You've been watching the Dice Tower. Have fun gaming.
Bye.
I've been putting some thought into Gloomhaven. No one seemed to mention. Come on now.